People think about aging, they usually focus on the face. But the scalp ages too, and that can influence on hair products, but they forget that hair grows out of the scalp. If the scalp changes with age, the hair can change too.
Today, we are looking right past the strands. Look, we all know the standard routine for aging hair, right? The expensive glosses, the heavy masks, the deep conditioners. But recent longevity science actually suggests we've been aiming at the wrong target this whole time. So let's dive right in and uncover the true biological foundation of hair preservation. Think about it. We spend so much time treating biologically inactive, literally dead hair strands, trying to fix dullness or thinning. But the real, invisible aging process, it's happening deep down in the living scalp dermis and the hair follicles. An aging, neglected scalp is going to produce thinner, weaker hair. It really is that simple. To truly grasp this, we need a massive perspective shift. There's this incredible quote from Dr. Lisa Thompson's research that hits the nail on the head. She notes, the scalp is facial skin that happens to grow hair. I mean, wow, right? It ages through the exact same mechanisms as your face, and thankfully it responds to a lot of the same treatments. If you want to change your hair, you absolutely have to change how you view your daily routine. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with part 1, the root of aging hair, and then move right into part 2, how your scalp ages. After that, we'll cover actionable solutions in part 3, scalp care is skincare. Escalate things a bit in part 4 with clinical treatments, and finally look inside the body with part 5, feeding your follicles. You are going to walk away with a totally comprehensive toolkit to anti-age the very foundation of your hair. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, the root of aging hair. Think of your scalp as the soil in a garden and your hair as the plants. What exactly happens when our scalp's precious soil gets depleted over time? 1%, that's it, but that is the exact amount of structural collagen your scalp dermis loses every single year. And get this, it starts right in your mid-20s. Just like your face, as your scalp loses that vital collagen, it loses its structural entirety. It literally, physically thins out. And that structural loss leads directly to a vital medical concept known as follicular miniaturization. See, as the scalp loses collagen and elastin, the physical support network around your hair follicles just sort of collapses. Because of this, the follicles progressively produce thinner, shorter, and weaker hairs. If you've ever wondered why your hair feels like it's losing that dense, youthful volume you had back in your teens, well, this is exactly why. The factory is literally losing its structural foundation. Moving on to section 2, how your scalp ages. The foundation is thinning out, sure, but what else is going wrong? Let's take a look at the fascinating biology behind an aging scalp to understand how this bustling hair factory starts to slow down. So hair follicles actually have their own distinct aging process. Your hair goes through these continuous cycles of growing and resting. But as we age, this cycle dramatically shifts. The anagen or growth phase gets noticeably shorter. Meanwhile, the telogen, which is the resting phase, gets much longer. This means each individual hair is growing for far less time and resting way too long before falling out. The biological math just doesn't work in our favor anymore, resulting in shorter overall hair with noticeably less volume. But it's not just the growth cycle. A whole host of hidden biological villains basically gang up on our poor follicles. First up, reduced blood flow, meaning less oxygen and fewer nutrients are reaching those highly active hair roots. Then, we see sebaceous gland changes, often dropping in sebum production after menopause, which causes extreme dryness, or conversely, creating this thick sebum that completely clogs the follicles. We also see stem cell depletion. This drains the follicle's ability to regenerate and depletes its color-producing cells, accelerating that graying process. There's also mechanical tension. The tendinous sheet on our head actually tightens, causing microfibrosis, or basically scar tissue around the follicles. And lastly, sneaky UV sun damage. UV rays penetrate right through the hair, destroying that precious collagen we were just talking about. Okay, section 3, scalp care is skincare. Now I know that sounds like a whole lot of bad news, but here is where it gets really exciting. Because the scalp is just skin, we can fight back using the exact same logic we use for our faces. Check out this super simple 4-step at-home routine to keep that scalp environment perfectly balanced and happy. Step 1, cleanse gently. Actually, most adults only need to wash 2 to 3 times a week with a sulfate-free shampoo. You want to avoid stripping the scalp's microbiome. Step 2, exfoliate. Just like your face, dead skin and pollutants clog up scalp pores. Using a 2% salicylic acid serum or a gentle physical scrub just once a week dissolves those plugs beautifully. Step 3 is treating with active serums, which we're going to dive into in just a second. And step 4, protect. You have got to use a lightweight scalp SPF spray or powder along your part line to stop that UV collagen destruction. All right, let's talk about step 3. Let's break down the absolute best serum ingredients backed by research and exactly what biological superpowers they bring to your follicular factory. Minoxidil is the heavy hitter here. It's the only FDA-approved topical treatment, and it pulls vital blood flow and oxygen right back to the follicles. If your scalp is inflamed, niacinamide at 2 to 5% strengthens that skin barrier. Topical caffeine is fascinating too because it actually counteracts DHT, which is a hormone that shrinks follicles, all while directly stimulating growth. Hair-specific peptides offer targeted structural support to stop that miniaturization we talked about earlier. And hey, if you want a natural route, studies show rosemary oil, diluted in a carrier oil, actually provides comparable efficacy to minoxidil after 6 months of use. How cool is that? Let's move on to section 4, clinical treatments. Because what if those at-home serums just aren't quite cutting it? Let's escalate the solutions and look at professional clinical interventions for when your scalp needs a heavy-duty boost. These are the 4 clinical treatments showing the absolute best results in the data. First is PRP, or platelet-rich plasma. This involves drawing your blood, isolating the platelets, and injecting those highly concentrated growth factors directly into the scalp to wake up dormant stem cells. Then there's microneedling. Using tiny needles at a depth of 1.0 to 1.5 millimeters triggers a natural wound healing cascade that forces the body to produce fresh collagen. Low-level laser therapy uses specific red light wavelengths, often delivered via a cute little cap you wear at home, to dramatically increase cellular energy and blood flow. Finally, scalp Botox. By injecting Botox into the scalp muscles, it releases that mechanical tension we discussed, massively improving blood flow to restricted areas. And that brings us to section 5, feeding your follicles. So we've treated the surface and the dermis, but let's move inside the body for our final section. Because a highly active hair factory desperately needs premium nutritional raw materials to run effectively. Remember, hair quality is a highly sensitive indicator of your overall nutritional status. So let's run through this crucial checklist. First up, iron. Your ferritin levels need to be above 30 nanograms per milliliter. Anything lower is directly linked to increased hair shedding, which makes women of reproductive age particularly vulnerable here. Vitamin D is essential because follicles literally have specific receptors for it. Aim for optimal levels of 40 to 60. Zinc acts as the manager for tissue repair. Biotin can improve hair quality for some when taken at 2,500 to 5,000 micrograms daily. Protein is absolutely non-negotiable. Hair is physically composed of a protein called keratin. If you don't eat enough protein, your body just shuts down hair production. And finally, omega-3 fatty acids provide systemic anti-inflammatory effects that keep the scalp environment nice, calm, and functional. So the crucial takeaway is this. You now have the exact biological blueprint to protect and regenerate the foundation of your hair, which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question. Is your skincare routine stopping at your forehead? It is time to extend that pampering past the hairline. Treat your scalp with the respect it truly deserves, and watch your hair transform. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.